Good morning. The September 7th, 2022 meeting of the Board of Estimates is now called in order. As the board continues to meet virtually, please, and its hybrid format, please ensure that if you're in the room that you turn off all electronic devices, or at a minimum you put them on silent so we can productively move this meeting forward. For those attending virtually, please keep yourself on mute until you've been recognized by the board. At this time, I would like our clerk, Ms. Celeste Amato, for any corrections, additions, or noted abstentions for today's agenda. Madam Clerk.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. President. We have a few things to note this morning. We have two additions to the agenda this morning. The first item up, apologies, let me get myself a little organized here. The first item up is from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. This is a grant award from the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention. The board is requested to approve and authorize a grant acceptance between the Mayor and City Council of Baltimore, acting by and through the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, and the Governor's Office of Crime Control. The period of this agreement is from July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2023. The amount of money is $3 million. And by way of background, on July 26, 2022, the GOCCP informed Monsi of a grant award in the amount of $3 million that will run from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023 for the Baltimore City Safe Streets program. The Mayor's Office of Neighborhoods Safety and Engagement, Safe Streets Baltimore, will use the funds to help reduce shootings and homicides within targeted communities in Baltimore City using an evidence-based public health approach, cure violence model. This program will use outreach as an integral component of programming in order to intervene in conflicts or potential conflicts and promote alternatives to violence. Our second addition to the agenda today is an item from Baltimore City Recreation and Parks. This is a contract with Showtime Sound, LLC. The board is requested to authorize and approve an agreement by and between the Mayor and City Council of Baltimore, Showtime Sound, LLC, and the Baltimore Civic Fund. Upon approval of the board, this agreement will commence as of August 3rd, 2022, and terminate on September 30th, 2022. There are $0 as part of the transaction today. Money was previously transferred to the Civic Fund for this purpose. And by way of background explanation, the production company will oversee all production and technical aspects of the Charm City Live event, from directing and hiring of production staff, testing equipment, and managing the control room. Coordination of the actual performance, production, run of show, sound check, all of those things will be coordinated with input from talent management and Charm City Live event team. The production company will ensure the setup and working order for all equipment and work in tandem with the Charm City Live event team to implement the festival vision. These items were walked onto the agenda this morning and as such are automatically part of the non-routine agenda. We have no protests this morning. And this morning we have a number of deferrals and withdrawals. On page number 3, item Baltimore City Police Department agreement with Mercy Medical Center. This item is being deferred at the request of the mayor. On page 12, Bureau of Risk Management, Department of Finance, insurance renewal is being deferred at the request of the comptroller. Page 13, 14, and 15 are also Bureau of Risk Management items. They are insurance renewals and they are being deferred at the request of the comptroller. I believe I also said page 16, but just in case, again, that is another insurance renewal being deferred at the request of the comptroller. Page 100 through 101, item number 8, Bureau of Procurement, contract number 6000, online auction services. This item is being deferred at the request of the comptroller. On page 128, Department of Transportation, this grant agreement is being deferred at the request of the council president. Page 145 through 146, Department of Public Works, ratification of Amendment Number 1 for recycling agreement. This item is being deferred at the request of the comptroller. Page 160 through 161, item number 4, Bureau of Procurement, B50006293, banking services. This item is being deferred at the request of the Chief of Procurement. Page 171, Department of Finance, travel request. This item is being withdrawn at the request of the mayor. Items that have been moved to the non-routine in addition to the walk-on items this morning on page 3, the Baltimore City Police Department agreement with Mercy Medical. That's actually being deferred.
Thank you.
Page 18, the Health Department agreement with Independent Living Foundation is on the non-routine agenda. Page 19, Health Department agreement with AIDS Action, Inc. Page 20, Health Department Agreement with Behavioral Health System Baltimore. Page 81 through 82, Law Department Settlement Agreement and Release. Page 83, Law Department Settlement Agreement and Release. Page 93 through 94, Item 2, Bureau of Procurement, Contract Number B503294, Customer Information System, UMAX. Page 106, Department of Housing and Community Development, CDBG 47 Grant Agreement with Baltimore Office of Promotion of the Arts. Page 107, Department of Housing, Block Grant Agreement with Creative Alliance. Page 108, Department of Housing, Block Grant Agreement with Greater Baybrook Alliance. Page 109, Department of Housing, Block Grant Agreement with Legal Aid Bureau. And page 110, Department of Housing, Block Grant Agreement with Maryland Volunteer Services. We have the following abstentions to note this morning. The Honorable Mayor Brandon Scott is abstaining on page 23. Item Health Department Agreement with the Johns Hopkins University. And on page 144, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement Agreement with Johns Hopkins University. The Honorable President Nick Mosby is abstaining on page 76 through 79, items 54 through 60, State's Attorney's Office, Personnel Matters, and on pages 87 through 88, Department of Real Estate, Third Amendment to Lease Agreement. The Honorable Bill Henry has no abstentions this morning. City Solicitor Jim Shea has no abstentions, and the Director of Public Works, Jason Mitchell, has no abstentions this morning. And that concludes my notes, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mr. President,
Yes?
I had one item that came up late last night. On page 44, there are two personnel agreements that set forth amount of compensation and expected hours, and then divide the two to give you an hourly wage, both of which are under the minimum wage. So we need to
Defer that?
withdraw it or defer it and get the right wage in there before we vote on it. It's in the non-routine, so that's why I bring it up right now.
Oh, wait, it's in the non-routine?
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the routine, I'm
routine.
sorry.
Oh, okay.
He wants to put it in non-routine.
Which agency is it?
Page 44. Item 7.
You have it open. So we'll just put that at top of the order. It's currently on routine. We're going to pull it to non-routine, and then we're just going to postpone.
Send it back, yeah.
So with that, do you have it pulled up?
Yeah.
Let me read it in real quick. It's an amount of $12,000. No, $12.
They're two different.
Pearl Corporal.
Yeah, one's named Corporal and the other is,
Michael Pearson.
yes.
All right, so I'm just, so for the board's edification, general public knowledge, what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna read the two account numbers. We're gonna read them in. We're gonna say that we're pulling them to the non-routine, and then we're gonna defer, and we're just gonna vote on that at the top of the agenda. Is that okay, Madam Clerk?
So noted.
All right, so on page 44 of the routine, it's a routine agenda item that we're going to pull into non-routine. It's account number 50535723 3024-750500-601-009 in the name of Michael Pearson. We are going to vote right now to defer that item. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and probably second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. That item is deferred. The next item that we're going to move from the routine agenda to non-routine agenda, and I'm going to ask for a motion to defer this item, is account number 5000-535723 3024-750400-601-009 in the name of Michael Corporal. At this time, I'll take a motion to defer this item.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and probably second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Both those items are deferred. Yes.
Mr. President, if, based on how you just read off those account numbers, if you'd like to come and be a guest reader at bid openings at noon, I'm sure that the comptroller's staff would love to have you.
An auction house can have my talents.
It's a good time.
Thank you, Mr. Comptroller. So those two items are now deferred, and then the board will work to figure out what we do as far as next steps to ensure that we have livable wages that come through this board. Thank you so much, Mr. Solicitor, for pointing that out. At this time, and I think that was at the appropriate time, at this time, I will call for a motion to approve or adopt the opening statement that was read in by our clerk.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and probably seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The opening statement is approved. I now direct the board members' attention to a memorandum from my office dated September the 6th, 2022, identifying matters to be considered as routine agenda items, together with any corrections, additions, abstentions, and no votes that I've noted by the clerk. I will entertain a motion at this point to approve all that's contained in the routine agenda.
Aye, so moved.
Second.
It's been moved and probably seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The routine agenda is adopted. On our first item on non-routine agenda can be found on pages 19 through 21, Health Department agreements. These items are services provider agreements with the following entities: AIDS Action, Behavioral Health Systems, Baltimore, and Edward A. Meyerberg Senior Center. It is my understanding that for each of these items, there is a common concern that they have been submitted to the board after the agreement has been completed. I propose that we consider these items as a group and separate them out for individual consideration if need be. Without objection, I will turn the floor over to Ms. Leslie Thompson from the Health Department to walk us through these items. Ms. Thompson, the floor is yours.
Good morning.
Good morning.
These three items, we are asking for a retroactive approval. These agreements are part of a backlog due to staffing changes.
Ms. Thompson, real quick, before we go too far, could you just speak up a little bit? The sound is a little choppy.
Okay.
The connection
Here's
is-
why.
The connection is not good.
Ms. Thompson, if you could hear us, maybe if you turn off your video, maybe the connection will be a little better. She's had enough. Ms. Thompson, can you hear us?
Oh. That's freaky.
Well, that's weird.
Ms. Thompson, if you're speaking and can hear us, we cannot hear you.
I apologize. I lost connection here. I'm having some technical difficulties. So I'm
Okay,
gonna turn my-
perfect. The floor is yours.
Okay. So again, these agreements we're asking retroactive approval on. These are agreements that are part of our backlog due to staffing issues. We have a good plan in place that to address these matters and that we will adhere to so as to mitigate these issues. With all three of these contracts.
Does that complete your presentation, Ms. Thompson?
Yes, it does.
Okay, at this point, I'll turn the floor over to our comptroller. Ms. Comptroller, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. At our board meeting of June 29th this year, I had put 8 of the Health Department agreements on the non-routine agenda because 7 of them were submitted after their expiration date. At that time, representatives from the agency shared some of the challenges that they were having in preparing and completing grant agreements in a timely fashion. Before the August 24th board meeting, in response to questions from my office about more retroactive grant agreements that were on that agenda, Ms. Thompson, who's the CFO over at the Health Department, she provided our office with the Health Department's work plan to address staffing and other issues with the goal of improving that process. Would it be possible for Ms. Thompson to go through the key elements of that work plan now with the board and provide the current status of those action items?
Certainly. Currently, we were onboarding 2 new contract administrators. One started on August the 15th, and another one will be starting September the 15th to add to our contract and processing unit. We also are going through a 3rd round of recruitment for 1 more additional person, so it's 3 contract administrators that we'll be bringing aboard. The job posting closed on September the 2nd, and we are waiting for the list to start the interviews for that. We also put together a portal for a repository to establish accountability and tracking mechanism for our documents and agreements that require BOE approval. We're finalizing that SOP as of today, this week. We also have some short-term goals as well, which includes applying for a public health infrastructure grant to improve our capacity.
And is that all?
Those particular are our short-term goals. Our long-term goals, once we receive, because I'm putting out there that we will receive, but once we are awarded those grant fundings, we plan to lower our position vacancies, improve our viability to be a competitive employer, as well as maintain 75% of our staff over 3-year tenure. That's our long-term goals.
Okay. And then, Mr. President, my last question would be, would the Health Department commit to coming back to the board in about 2 months? That would be our meeting of November 16th, to give an update on progress on this work plan?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. President.
So, Mr. Comptroller, you're going to ensure that, I guess, we get that on an agenda just as a presentation?
We will make sure that we add that to the agenda for the 16th at this point, and we will also circulate. I don't know if other board members received copies of the work plan. No, we will circulate copies of the work plan as well.
Thank you. And Ms. Thompson, I assume you're in position to agree to that date. Is that accurate?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you on the 16th, Ms. Thompson. At this point, are there any additional questions or concerns from members of this board? No. If not, at this point, I entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. This item is approved. The next item on the non-routine agenda can be found on pages 81 and 82, Law Department Settlement Agreement and Release. This lawsuit was brought by Darnell Earl against the Baltimore Police Department, 3 former members of the Gun Trace Task Force. I think in the future we should list their names. Former Commissioner Batts and Bielfeld, and the Mayor and Baltimore and the City Council of Baltimore. On behalf of the Law Department, we have our amazing Deputy Solicitor, Ms. Ebony Thompson, as well as Mr. James Corley, to walk us through the settlement agreement. At this point, Deputy Solicitor, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Mr. President and honorable members of the board. We'll first go over this one. The Department of Law is respectfully requesting authorization to approve the settlement of a lawsuit brought by Darnell Earl against the Baltimore Police Department. The 3 former BPD officers of the Gun Trace Task Force are Taylor, Jenkins, and Hendricks, former police commissioners Batts and Bielfeld, and the mayor and the city council of Baltimore. The plaintiff has alleged numerous federal claims against the Baltimore Police Department and GTTF officer defendants. On or about October 18th, 2015, plaintiff was a passenger in a vehicle in or around the 1900 block of Monument Street. At that time, the then officers initiated a traffic stop of the vehicle in which plaintiff was a passenger, and following that stop, the officers recovered a firearm from under the plaintiff's passenger seat. The plaintiff has a prior criminal record, including prior convictions for illegal possession of a firearm, and was charged with multiple firearms-related offenses arising from this stop. Plaintiff pled guilty to 1 charge and served approximately 1.5 years in prison. Seemingly due to the officer credibility issues arising out of the GTTF events, though that was vacated. And while the plaintiff filed numerous state and federal counts of constitutional violations, Monell and related claims, GTTF defendants and city defendants were able to get many of the parties and counts dismissed. The remaining claims in this litigation are as follows. There's a Section 1983 claim for violation of plaintiff's 4th and 14th Amendment rights and privileges, and that's against the GTTF defendants pertaining to malicious prosecution and fabrication of evidence. There's there's also a Section 1983 claim for negligent supervision, training, retention, and custom or policy of deliberate indifference against the city defendants. Given the considerations that I stated, the time and expense in getting this matter through trial, the potential exposure from a plaintiff's verdict, and the continued accrual of plaintiff's fees, we're requesting $575,000 for settlement in this matter. Fortunately, I will state that we have transformed and continue to improve our police department, including the training, the policy and protocols to eliminate these types of lawsuits. These lawsuits exemplify the need for us to continue this administration's efforts in rebuilding the trust of our police department. I have confirmed, because I know, Mr. President, this is a question that you often ask, I have confirmed that the 3 former GTTF officers in this case are not receiving any pensions from the city. And at this time, I will open it up to any additional questions that the board may have.
Got you. Quick question. So they're not currently receiving pensions. Are they eligible for pensions in the future?
No, sir.
They are not eligible for pensions.
No,
in the
sir.
future. That's really important.
Yes, sir.
And the amount is $575,000.
Yes, sir.
The assumption is this is the largest that we've paid out to date, or?
No, sir, it is. No, sir, it is not. Outside of the outlier case, the Burley Matthews settlement that actually was paid $7.9 million. There were 34 additional settlements, and those totals are $7.48 million, or an average of $220,000 per case. So while this is not the largest, this is one of the largest.
Maybe the second, or we're not sure about that.
I can get that ranking for you, but it's definitely not the largest.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
But the aggregate amount is how much?
The aggregate amount that the total that we paid is $15.48 million. If we take the outlier case out of the $7.997 million, the total is $7.48 million, or an average of $220,000 per case, sir.
Thank you so much. At this time, are there any additional questions from members of the board? Mr. Comptroller, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning.
Good morning,
to
Mr.
our
Comptroller.
amazing Deputy City Solicitor.
you.
You said that we've now paid roughly $15.8 million?
$15.48 million, sir.
15.48 million in GTTF-related settlements. How many more lawsuits or claims remain to be disposed of or settled?
We have 4 remaining active cases, 2 of which pose serious financial risk, and then we have 4 unfiled claims where the statute of limitations is running, but we are expecting those claims.
Okay.
But they have not been filed yet, so we have 4 active ones, sir.
Okay, thank you. And then I know you already addressed the unspoken question of whether these defendants were eligible for a pension. I don't know if anyone who is currently on the call knows, or if this would be something that you could get back to the board on, whether former Sergeant Thomas Allers, who led and trained the original gun trace task force, and was a more senior member of the department, was he eligible for a pension?
Yes, sir, and he is receiving a pension.
He is receiving a pension.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Mr. President, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I know we were talking specific about GTTF, right? The
Yes.
numbers that we provided, right?
Yes, sir.
Do we know the amount of that we've paid out outside of GTTF for misconduct or vulnerabilities that the Baltimore Police Department has caused us this year?
Sir, I know that is a number that we have been researching, so I'll continue to work on that. And as you know, next time I'll come before you. I'll do my best to have that answer, sir.
I appreciate it. Definitely interested in not just looking at some of the issues from a GTTF perspective, but largely with some of the past. I mean, the obvious idea is that we hope that we see a consistent drawdown in these types of incidents. Hopefully it's eradicated, because every time we pay a dime out, that's going away from our rec center, that's going away from public infrastructure like we desperately need, and other things that have provided those core issues to the citizens of Baltimore. With that, are there any additional questions or concerns from members of this board? Hearing and seeing none, I will take a motion.
I move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and probably seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. This item is approved. Next up, we're going to stick with the Law Department. It can be found on page 3, Law Department Settlement Agreement and Release. This lawsuit was filed against the city by Joseph Thomas, stemming from an automobile accident that occurred on March in 2019. On behalf of the Law Department, we have our amazing Deputy Solicitor, Ms. Ebony Thompson, to walk us through this settlement. She's joined also by Mr. Tom Webb. At this time, the floor is your Deputy Solicitor.
Thank you so much, Mr. President and Board, again. As Mr. President stated, this is a suit filed by Mr. Joseph Thomas against the mayor and city council as a result of an automobile accident in Baltimore City on March 13th of 2019, where Mr. Thomas sustained injuries involving a Baltimore City fire inspector at the intersection of El Dorado Avenue and Pennhurst Avenue. The fire inspector was driving westbound on Pennhurst Avenue, approaching the intersection of Pennhurst and El Dorado. Plaintiff was traveling southbound on El Dorado, approaching the same intersection. That intersection is controlled by a stop sign on Pennhurst Avenue, and there is no stop sign or other traffic signal for vehicles on El Dorado. Mr. Holloman states that there was an oil truck stopped on Pennhurst Avenue, which obstructed the view of oncoming traffic from that direction. The impact, however, he did hit plaintiff's vehicle, which he claimed that he did not see prior to the impact. The impact was on the passenger side of plaintiff's vehicle, and Mr. Thomas acknowledges that plaintiff was most of the way through the intersection at the time of the impact. Plaintiff alleged that his car rolled over 3 times after the impact, and the damage to plaintiff's vehicle, which is significant and includes damage to the roof, is consistent with a roll. Plaintiff alleges that the accident caused a significant and permanent shoulder injury that required surgery in addition to damage to his head, arm, and back. An IME was performed in March of 2022, and the doctor concluded that plaintiff's surgery was reasonable and medically necessary and related to plaintiff's car accident in March 2019. The medical bills here totaled over $113,000, and the property damage was approximately $7,000. There are no liability defenses in this case. The Law Department believes the $100,000 discount from the cap is a great result, given that there is a lack of liability defenses, the high total of medical bills, the violent nature of the impact, the opinions of city's expert regarding causation and reasonableness of treatment, and plaintiff's permanent injuries. As such, we respectfully request $300,000 to settle this matter. I will state that the fire department does have a system under which accidents are investigated and found to be preventable or unpreventable. And while there are apparently no formal protocols for preventable accidents, the city is working to develop an accident review committee to provide guidance for our agencies to determine the appropriate action or review for these types of accidents, and that is in the works. And at this time, I'll be willing to take any questions that the board may have, sir.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Solicitor. At this time, I'll turn the floor over to our Comptroller. Comptroller Henry, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the time of the crash, was the city's fire inspector responding to an emergency?
No, he was not, sir.
In a briefing last week, Mr. Webb mentioned that the inspector was driving fast enough to overturn the plaintiff's vehicle when he struck him, allegedly for it to roll 3 times. Is there any estimate as to how fast the inspector was going?
No, sir, we don't have that information, but that does highlight the importance of us initiating the accident review committee. I totally agree with you on that.
Did the investigation that the fire department conducted determine that it was a preventable accident?
Yes, sir, they did determine that it was preventable.
Did the inspector receive any kind of discipline or sanction for the vehicle crash?
An informal sit-down, sir, that we learned from the deposition.
Informal. Okay. And I guess then, Mr. President, I wonder if I guess we wouldn't want to do this as the board, but I would take this opportunity to urge the fire department to revisit their disciplinary policies as they relate to traffic safety and incidents like this one. If the city's going to end up spending $300,000 to address our liability for an employee's negligence, it just seems like there should be more involved than just coaching and counseling. That the law department is aware of. Were there even any civil penalties? Was there where it was a citation for running a stop sign pursued? Was there a moving violation? Were points added to the inspector's license?
No, sir, there were none.
Okay. It just feels like I've interacted with plenty of constituents over the years who have been in similar situations and had a lot worse happen to them than appears to have happened here in terms of consequences for the inspector. So, thank you, Mr. President.
Duly noted. Thank you, Mr. Comptroller. Are there any additional questions or concerns from members of the board? Hearing and seeing none, at this point, I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval.
Second.
It's moved and probably second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. This item is approved. The next item on non-routine agenda. Thank you, Madam Deputy Solicitor. The next item on the non-routine agenda can be found on pages 93 and 94, number 2, Bureau of Procurement B500003294, Customer Information Systems, UMAX, with Iterneris N.A. Incorporated. On behalf of DPW, we have Mr. Richard Luna, Mr. Aaron Moore, and Yogi Narala. Mr. Luna, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President, members of the board. Joining us virtually is our IT officer. He was going to be sharing a presentation, so hopefully he's able to pull that up for us.
Yeah, almost there.
There we go.
This way we can follow along. And we could go to the second slide. So thank you so much. So just quickly on this item, we wanted to touch with what the customers would experience with this type of upgrade because it is a $15 million upgrade amount. So just moving around in clockwise order, once this work is completed on our city's billing service and utility, you could see automatic payments. Customers would be able to store credit card info online to make payments easier. We'd integrate paperless billing into the system. There'd be integration with communication, so increase text, email, chat communications. Payments would be applied immediately through the portal, and then customers would also be able to request payment plans directly through the portal, which then in turn could also reduce call times at our call center. And then just full integration with the city's new Paymentus portal, which is going to be accepting payments throughout the city. Moving to the next slide, we have a breakdown of what the $15 million for this item will accompany. The largest ticketed dollar amount is the $6 million to complete the transition for Baltimore County to move over to the UMAX system. That's a 2-year project. Finishing the city's upgrade to convert UMAX, which is the billing system, into a cloud-based system. This is important because the current system is actually going to be discontinued and no longer supported by Microsoft. So moving over to the cloud-based system is critical for this work. And then the next 3 items are in continued project management from the vendors and the consultants in this case, purchasing additional software licenses, and then miscellaneous costs, which will likely go towards more training for this item. Just to highlight some of the accomplishments that the team has put together over the past few years in this work, we've had seen tremendous reductions in backlogs, both with our call center, our case management, property management, and then the county work order escalations. So I did want to highlight those numbers for my team that have done tremendous work in getting those numbers down to more manageable numbers. And then just finally on some ongoing improvements or ongoing work for this item, just continuously supporting our staff and training them so that they're able to fully take over the system. Constantly cleaning up the data so that our numbers are matching what's in our records, improve data analytics, and then being able to generate those KPIs for us so we'll be able to better manage this moving forward, and then just continuously improving the validation process on all of the addresses. And so with that quick presentations, I'm happy to take any questions or members of my team as well.
Thank you. At this time, are there any questions or concerns? Mr. Comptroller, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. First of all, I want to start with congratulations, because I can't tell you how many times I've had people ask me, why can't we just have a recurring payment system for water? Why can't I just, have it charged to my credit card each month like I do for BG&E or cable or other utilities? So I'm very happy to hear that one of the things that you're going to get out of this is the ability to give that opportunity to hundreds of thousands of customers. I'm noting that this contract was originally awarded in 2014 and expires in 2024. So we have largely outsourced the management of our water billing customer service for 10 years. Is it DPW's intention to renew this contract fully, such that we're going to just be wedded to this vendor in this fashion forever? Or are you taking steps to build up our in-house capacity so that at some point we can wean ourselves from an outside vendor?
That's a great question. That's truly the intent. So constant improvements on the staffing side, beefing up staffing so that they're trained, they're prepared to take over that system. And then we do have 27 months remaining on this contract, so that'll be a continuous conversation once we get towards the end of that project, making sure that all of the upgrades are complete, both on the city side and the county side. And at that time, we potentially could come back to the board to renegotiate a new contract with this specific vendor.
Also, how long is the migration to the UMax cloud going to take?
That's a 12 to 14 month process for the cities, for the city system. And so they actually have already started work on that. So we're anticipating that'll be completed in the next year.
Okay, and how does this contract differ from the contract for installing and repairing water meters?
For installing and repairing water meters?
Which I think is Itron?
That's Itron. That's a separate contract.
Just completely, okay.
Yeah.
Does this feed into Itron? I'm sorry for what I said.
There's an integration.
Does Itron feed into this cloud?
There's an integration component with Itron talking with our UMax system, yes.
And has anyone already talked to them about the upgrade to 365? Which I got to tell you, I'm working really hard to keep a straight face on that.
No, yes, so those conversations are ongoing, and Itineris, who's the vendor for this specific contract, is helping us with that integration.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Mr. President, that's all I have for this.
Are there any other questions or concerns from members of this board? At this time, I'm going to ask that we defer this item for one council meeting. For one BOE. Any issue, any unreadiness on that? Thanks so much. We look forward to seeing you next meeting.
Thank you.
The next group of items on the non-routine agenda can be found on pages 106 to 110, Department of Housing Community Development, CDBG 47, grant agreements. Again, it is my understanding that there is a common concern among each of these items related to when they've come before the board for approval. So again, I would propose that we consider them as a group and pull out any items for individual consideration if needed. On behalf of the Department of Housing Community Development, we have Commissioner Alice Kennedy as well as Deputy Commissioner Mary Correa to update us on these agreements. Madam Commissioner, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board. The items before you on the non-routine agenda today are 5 of our community development block grant 47 contracts, which would be part of the period of performance that would have ended June, this past June 30th, 2022. This is part of the backlog that had started with the year 45s and year 46s that I was here to discuss back in June with you all. We've made significant strides on getting through the 45s, 46s, and even the 47 contracts. There are about 20 remaining, kind of moving through different cycles of getting to the board. Some of them we're waiting on signatures from the grantees, additional documents. We've had some grantees change some of their budgets and items on those, but those will be moving forward to the board as well. I want to continue to highlight that in general, all of the community development block grant contracts and periods of performance do not line up with, there will be retroactive approvals given when we receive approval from HUD for the projects and programs within the annual action plan. So to give you an idea, the next round is considered to be CDBG 48, which would be a period of performance from July 1, 2022 to June 30 of 2023. But as of today, we do not have our annual action plan approved from HUD because that was award announcements were made and the federal budget, which actually ends September 30th in 23 days, was not approved until late. So those would be delayed as well. I can say that the staff and has made some significant strides in terms of moving forward and doing evaluation and efficiencies. One item that we do have is we have our new Deputy Commissioner, Mary Correa, who's with us this morning, who just started about 4 weeks ago and is on board and has already jumped in working with staff to evaluate process procedures. We've developed a revised and new budget format for new contracts going forward that will be easier for the grantees, as well as looking at some of the other pieces of the checklist for contract checklists, et cetera. Another key item is that we have submitted to the Comptroller's Office a proposal that we feel would greatly streamline moving the contracts through approval. And we have a meeting on the 21st of this month with members of the Comptroller staff to fully review that. We've already had a couple of initial meetings and conversations, and we'll have a meeting on the 21st. And I am hopeful that that meeting will be fruitful because that will have a great impact on our ability to move the 48s much faster, and then all of the years, in the future as well.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. Does that conclude your presentation?
That does. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. At this time, I'll turn the floor over to Comptroller Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. First of all, on behalf of the Comptroller's Office, we are also looking forward to that conversation and doing everything that we can to help streamline the process. One of the things that I wanted to put forth, based on the fact that, well, first of all, and just if this hasn't been made clear enough to enough people, this is a long-term issue. This is something that nonprofits have complained to elected officials about for decades, that the CDBG grant money takes so long to get to them. And as Commissioner Kennedy laid out in her previous visit and explanation, some of it is just endemic to the way that the different fiscal years for the city and the federal government line up, and some of it is just how HUD's process works does not help us expedite getting people their money. But what occurred to us was, the city's Neighborhood Impact Investment Fund already leverages support from local stakeholders to bolster community reinvestment. Couldn't the city create a similar short-term revolving zero-interest loan fund started with contributions from the city and various outside funders to help sustain nonprofits whose cash flow is dangerously impacted by the schedule of reimbursement? Could we do something where when people are applying for their CDBG grant, they're also applying for a commensurate loan from this loan fund? If the city approves their grant request and they're going to be getting that money from the feds eventually, then we would just loan them that money right away. And when their money eventually comes in through the CDBG process, we just pay the fund back. Like, how would that be something that we could be looking at?
So I think I'm willing to look at, and I think we all are willing to look at a potential solution there. There are a couple of items, though, that I do want to highlight that could be problematic. One is that it is a reimbursable grant. Also, the grant award itself does not occur until we have the formal approval from HUD. So while they've applied, it's a grant, it's not guaranteed. It's like, there's levels of funding sources in all nonprofits that you have to kind of line up to say, I know when, I've worked with nonprofits, been on nonprofit boards, et cetera, you have that list of, your funding sources and what's kind of somewhat guaranteed, what's the timeline on this and so forth when you're looking at your cash flow. So it is a reimbursable grant. We do not approve or send any approval letters until after we have received full approval from HUD for that grant year. The other component is that as the reimbursement process, the grantees are required to submit reports, and it's part of our actually pretty robust and strict compliance monitoring as part of this. And we've often sometimes actually found that we've had to work with grantees because they've spent money on an activity that was not approved, because it has to 100% align with the activity that is approved by HUD. And we have, run into issues around that as part of the compliance. And that is also how we are able to monitor the grants, is that we align the payments with the monitoring. And I will say that sometimes we have some grantees that are better than others, even as we've been moving the backlog of contracts through. We've been moving contracts through, and there are some contracts that have been approved now by the board for many months, and we still have yet to receive a draw request and the appropriate quarterly reports and yearly reports from the grantees. So one concern I have about a structure like that would be on the compliance side and monitoring, given the structure of how the CDBG funding works. Not to say it isn't something to explore, but I do see some potential complications there.
So I think the appropriate quote here would be, so you're saying there's a chance?
I'm saying I'm open to an exploration.
Okay, all right. I'm perfectly comfortable with having that exploration as we move forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Comptroller. At this time, are there any additional questions or concerns from other members of the board? Hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The item is approved. We have two walk-on items, as noted by our clerk at the beginning. The first walk-on item, non-routine agenda, was read in by our clerk at the top of the meeting. Again, the board is being asked to approve acceptance of a $3 million grant from the GOCAP to Monty for Safe Streets. This is the Governor's Office of Control Crime Prevention. That's what GOCAP means for the general public. For Safe Streets, at this time, we'll call on someone from Monty or someone from the administration to speak on behalf of this item. I'm not sure if there's anyone online. If there is from Monty or the administration, the board is unable to hear you at this time. Again, this is for the item of Safe Streets, the $3 million GOCAP grant.
Well, if there is no one from Monty, I'm happy to speak to the need, the time sensitivity associated with this item. I'll say that my understanding is that we needed to get word to the state before the month ended. This did not, the next cycle for BOE did not give us enough time to communicate properly with the state. So this item is being walked on for that reason and that reason only, and appreciate the board's consideration.
Thank you, Mr. CAO. At this time, are there any questions from members of the board to the administration? Hearing and seeing none, at this time I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval.
I'll second.
It's been moved and probably second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. I think that we're okay in doing what we just did, but I think it's also important that we have someone from the departments and agencies here. Obviously, it's unfair to put you in a position to have to present an item and then also vote on it. Again, we are in accordance with everything that's fine and accurate, but we just want to make sure that we do not make a precedence of that. I think everybody on the board agrees to that. So just wanted to communicate that to the general public. The last item is another walk-on item. It's in the amount of $0. This is money that we already approved, but this is actually trying to approve the contract between the mayor, city council, Baltimore Showtime Sound LLC, and the Baltimore Civic Fund Incorporated. Upon approval of the board, the agreement will commence as of August 3rd, 2022. Is there someone online from Baltimore City Department, Recs and Park, or the administration?
Good morning, Council President. This is Nicole Green, Deputy Director of Administration for Baltimore City Rec and Parks. And we are asking for the approval of the Showtime Sound agreement for our Charm City Live event that will take place on September 24th.
Thank you. So we already approved the amount. Do you know how much the amount is for, Ms. Green?
The total amount was $500,000, and it's $94,000 for the production.
So this specific contract is $94,000, and this specific contract is $500,000.
This specific contract is for $94,000.
Yes, ma'am. Is Showtime a Baltimore-based company?
Did she mute herself?
Ms. Green, if you were talking, we couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, sir. They're not based out of Baltimore.
They're not a Baltimore-based company. Are there any minority, women-owned business goals that are set in this agreement?
I believe we have a waiver.
We have a waiver. This is the first time I'm hearing of this this morning, I think, because it is a walk-on item. Are there any time limitations that would bar us from deferring this so this board can get additional information associated with this agreement?
The actual event is in 3 weeks, and we would just need to be able to give the company their money so that we can get it done.
Gotcha. So if we were to vote on this in 2 weeks, would that be sufficient for this agreement? You can't answer that, and I don't want to put you in a position to answer that. What I will say is this, and I've said this before, Mr. CEO, and the mayor's not here, you're sitting in for him, but to the administration, I think it is completely unfair to this board to walk on items such as this, literally in the 11th hour. I was approaching the desk when I learned of this particular item. I think the nature in which this board approves money without contracts, and then we come in and we put in a vendor, again, in this nature, is not the way that we need to conduct business, particularly as it relates to procurement, particularly as it relates to the history of Baltimore City with procurement. I know nothing about Showtime. They might be a very reputable company. They might have done and performed great work for the city in the past. But I think it's unfair to this board, but more importantly to the taxpayers of the city of Baltimore, to conduct business like this. I have always been a steward of ensuring that when we do festivals, when we do events, when we provide services, that procurement process, that we hold core competency to ensure that we are able to put minority as well as business-owned enterprises in the mix of those things. Obviously, this board does not have the knowledge, and it's unfair for Ms. Green to be put in a position to try to identify that particular knowledge. Now, I know this is something that is important to the mayor of the city of Baltimore. Individually, I'm not going to get in the way of that, but respectfully from the seat of the city council president, I do take major concern as the way that we're walking this item on, and the lack of information that this board has been provided associated with it, as well as the way this contract has been handled. With that, are there any additional questions or concerns from members of the board? If they're not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval.
Second.
At this point, it's been moved and probably second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. I'm going to vote a nay, obviously, for the reasons that I just mentioned. Thank you so much, Ms. Green. Again, we did not want to put you in position. You've just kind of been pushed out there to communicate this to us this morning. So thank you so much. At this time, are there any additional comments, questions, or concerns from members of this board? Any unreadiness? Hearing and seeing none, as there's no new business before the desk, we will adjourn until bid opening at 12 noon. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Estimates will occur on Wednesday, September the 21st at 9 a.m. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. Baltimore, please stay safe, and we absolutely love you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Baltimore City Board of Estimates bid opening for September 7th, 2022. Welcome to our live audience today, and welcome everyone viewing at home. I am Celeste Amato, and I am the clerk of the Board of Estimates, and I'm joined today by my colleagues James Knighton, our Director of Policy, and the lovely and talented Ms. Sherelle Holly, who is administrating this bid opening for us today. Thanks, Sherelle. I want to start first by announcing a correction from the August 24th bid opening. Okay, I was reading the top line and not the second line. On August 24th, 2022, the board opened bid submissions for Bureau of Procurement B5000-6818 salt for snow removal. The bid submission for one bidder, AB Trucking and Contracting LLC, was read out during the live stream session as having no price. The entire bid submission, all copies, were subsequently referred to the Law Department for a bid opinion, and on advice of the Law Department, the board is correcting the record of the bid opening for B5000-6818 salt for snow removal to reflect a total bid price for AB Trucking and Contracting LLC of $5,700,000 and 0 cents. That was 5,700,000.00. Again, that was a correction to the August 24th bid opening for salt and snow removal. I have one addenda to announce today. Public Works Contract SC992R, Back River Wastewater Treatment Plant. The bid originally due today on the 7th has a new opening date of 9/21/2022. Again, that was contract number SC992R, Back River Wastewater Treatment Plant. That bid will now be opened on September 21st, 2022. And today we have one bid opening. This is for the procurement, Bureau of Procurement. Contract number B5000-6477, Enterprise Support Staffing Services. And I believe we're opening the price proposals today, yes?
Yes.
These are price proposals, so we will be reading out the lump sum bids from each of the approved vendors. Jim, your turn.
Great. The first bid price is from Agisol LLC, AGISOL LLC. Total bid price $7,495.
That bid amount was 7,495.00?
Yes.
$7,495 from Agisol LLC.
Next submission is for Bith Group Technologies, $9,053.63.
That number was 9,053.00?
0.63.
Oh.
$9,053.63.
Sorry. I will read that again. That was 9,053.63.
Yes.
That was $9,053.63 for Bith Group Technologies.
Yes. Next submission is from Business Integra Technology Solutions, Inc. Total bid price $5,516.37.
That number was 5,516.37.
Yes.
That was Business Integra Technology Solutions, $5,516.37.
Yes. The next submission is from Cogent Infotech Corporation. Total bid price $6,795.60.
That number was 6,795.60.
Yes.
That was Cogent Infotech Corporation, $6,795.60.
Yes. Next submission is from Compunel Software Group, Incorporated. Total bid price $6,269.69.
That number was 6,269.69.
Yes.
That was Compunel Software Group, $6,269.69.
Yes. The next submission is from Cynet Systems, C-Y-N-E-T Systems. Total bid price $5,640.60.
That number is 5,640.60.
Yes.
Cynet Systems, Inc., $5,640.60.
Yes. Next submission is from DataMan USA, LLC. Total bid price $7,944.84.
84?
Yes.
That number was 7,944.84.
Yes.
Excuse me. DataMan USA, $7,944.84.
Yes. Next submission is from Infogenie, INFOJINI, Incorporated. Total bid price $6,150.20.
That number was 6,150.20.
Yes.
That bid was from Infogenie Incorporated, $6,150.20.
Yes. Next submission is from Instant Serve, LLC. Total bid price $5,823.00.
That number was 5,823.00.
Yes.
That bid was from Instant Serve LLC, $5,823.
Yes. Okay, this looks like it's a submission for a different solicitation. All right, next submission is from Serigor, S-E-R-I-G-O-R, Incorporated. Total bid price, $8,574.00.
That number was 8,574.00.
Yes.
That was Serigor Incorporated, $8,574.
Yes. Next submission is Skyline Technology Solutions, LLC. Total bid price, $4,890.00.
That number was 4,890.00.
Yes.
That was Skyline Technology Solutions, $4,890.
Yes. Next submission is from Tech Systems, TEK Systems. Total bid price, $7,028.33.
That number is 7,028.33.
Yes.
That was Tech Systems for $7,028.33.
Yes. Next submission is from Trigyn, Trigyn Technologies, Inc. Total bid price, $7,960.00.
That number is 7,960.00.
Yes.
That was Trigyn Technologies, Inc. for $7,960.
Yes. Next submission is from US Tech Solutions, Inc. Total bid price, $6,385.40.
That number was 6,385.40.
Yes.
That bid was from US Tech Solutions, Inc. for $6,385.40.
Yes. Next submission is from UVS Infotech, LLC. Total bid price, $6,739.09.
That number was 6,739.09.
Yes.
That was UVS Infotech, LLC for $6,739.09.
Yes.
And I think this is our final bid.
Yes, the final submission is from Visions Technology Services. Total bid price, $7,693.00.
That number is 7,693.00.
Yes.
And that bid was from Visions Technology Services, $7,693.
Yes.
And that was our final bidder on contract number B50006477, Enterprise Support Staffing Services.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in today, and that completes our bid opening for September 7th. Thanks for alphabetizing all those, Sherelle.